Hi, my name is KatContii, better known as KatContii on the interwebs, and I am a full-time Twitch streamer or content creator. Easy.
One more?
Yeah, kick his ass. That was you! Wait. Oh, that was me! At the window, at the window! No! Why? Wait, chat, why are there two cat? Whoa, 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 whoa! Whoa! You're gonna go, what's up? Oh, no. What's up? For about the past year, I've only mainly been playing player-known Battlegrounds, also known as PUBG, on Twitch, just because I love the game. I love the community. About a year ago, year and a half ago, when the game was first coming out, I was pretty lost on what to play. I had never played PC games outside of maybe Overwatch, a couple hundred hours on that. But I was just browsing through Twitch, and I noticed this new game, PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds. And I had tried H1 in the past, and I hated it. Absolutely had no fun with it. And I think it was Gamescom, that first tournament in Germany. I watched the tournament, and I was like, I want to learn this game. This is the game I want to play. So that's why I played it. My father and my mother were gamers. Well, my father mostly. My mom did a lot of pinball growing up. And I remember some of my youngest memories were playing the NES, Duck Hunt, or Super Mario Brothers with my family. And that's why I think that's where it all sparked, was just being introduced to video games at a young age. And I fell in love with it. I am for now, a dedicated PC gamer. I grew up playing mostly console, and I didn't grow up with a lot of money. So the idea of having console gaming, I'm sorry, not console gaming, PC gaming, was just not in the picture. So it wasn't until maybe about PUBG came out that I fully switched over to PC gaming. So when I first started streaming, I pretty much had no PC games under my belt at all, besides maybe Neopets from high school or middle school, right? Neopets, right? Like throwback. So when I first started gaming, I was on I believe the Xbox 360 was around that time, was a big console. And I did a lot of Call of Duty, because Call of Duty for me was the only game I knew, the only game I really enjoyed. And from there, the next gen consoles came out, I believe, like a year or two after. So PS4, Xbox One, I had them both. I still have them. But I felt as if I was being held back, actually, from being a console-only streamer. Yeah, because, I mean, the top 5 games, essentially, we're going to rough estimate here on Twitch right now. League of Legends, like maybe Hearthstone, Fortnite, which majority of those streamers are on PC. The graphics are better, the streaming quality is better. So in that sense, I felt like I was being held back for my audience. I think that there's more people on PC that are on Twitch than console. I just think in terms of graphics, it's better. So you have better production. I think the better production value your streams has, the more audience you essentially have to drag in. Because for me, I mean, consoles, 30 to 60 FPS, right? To where you're gaming, like your PC games go anywhere from maybe like 30 to 1 billion. So yeah, roughly, like just kind of, rough estimate that. And then as well as, I think that there's more people who play PC games, especially. Like there's more people on PC, especially in regions like Asia, right? They have internet cafes everywhere. So a lot of the people that I do play with are people who subscribe to my channel or follow me or just friends IRL. I used to do sub games, but I think for me, and my content, it's better for me to play with my friends who I just interact with a lot better. And for me to be more positive, I bounce off my friends a lot more content-wise. I mean, I love shit talking. I am essentially known for that. Oh yeah, they love me for that. They love me because I'm blunt. I say what's on my mind. If you screw up, I will tell you. Like, I will tell you. I think it helps my stream as well as my friend streams a bit more. I think a big part of Twitch right now is streaming with other streamers. I think collabing is huge at the moment, and the only way to grow right now is to collab. I don't do solo games because I truly think I'm boring when it comes to, yeah, when it comes to solo games. I know that some streamers are great at that. They have like great personalities, like Man vs. Game is one of them. Very good at that. Ezekiel the Third, great personalities. But I love multiplayer games with friends. I personally actually never thought I could do it, which is weird. I grew up a very shy kid. And it all goes back to how I started on Twitch. I was dog sitting. I'm on YouTube watching like 720 quick scopes from COD Kids, and it links to Twitch. So through Twitch, I ended up meeting a ton of new friends, and that's where I met my friend MrsViolence, who got me into streaming. And I never wanted to be on camera. I didn't think it was for me until I started playing with her on her stream. And all of her fans were like, who's this girl you're playing with? Like, why isn't she on camera? Like, we want to see her stream. And I think it was the belief in everybody else in me that I guess gave me the courage to do it all now. I just was hanging out with my friends. I mean, we became really good friends when we met, like 5-ish years ago, 4 to 5 years ago. And I mean, through her, she literally gave me these wings to just further my career. And she birthed me into this whole industry. So I was dog sitting, I was on YouTube, and I got linked to Twitch. And through Twitch, I found this streamer named MrsVixen. And through MrsVixen, I made like 5, 6, 7 friends through there. And I started playing with these guys on a daily basis. And MrsVixen was one of my first ever like channels I subbed to, became a fan of, and then I met these friends. One day, they show me this streamer called MrsViolence. And I'm like, cool, she's like another female streamer, like great image, great gamer, positive attitude. I want to subscribe to her too, so I did. And one day we're gaming, and they tell me that MrsViolence gets on and they're gonna go play with her. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Go play with her. She's like a big streamer. They had one extra spot. And my friends, who we called the Unicorn Squad, I know, weird. So they were like, hey, we have a friend, you know, like, can we invite her? And she ended up inviting me. And I sat there and I'm freaking out. Like, I'm fangirling because MrsViolence had won like the Battlefield, the controller competition. I was like, this is like one of the greatest female gamers of all time who invited me. So it was just, we played together and became really good friends that way. And after that, I ended up like flying out to her house 2 months later to do a charity event with her. And then we moved in together like a month or two after. It was weird because I was just browsing the Call of Duty section and she was the first female streamer I saw. And I was like, cool, there's like other women that play Call of Duty. So I think I maybe like, I don't know if I subscribed to her that day or a couple weeks after, but I ended up subscribing to her. And like, I won a t-shirt on her stream that day. It was super weird. It was like super lucky. Yeah, it was a new sub and I won a t-shirt. And we started playing together. And then there's just this thing about being a female in gaming that other females want to play with you. And that's what I love, is that we all kind of, most of us rise each other up. So I think that we just had this whole like female connection thing. And I played with her a ton. And then that's why, I mean, her community ended up being like some of my friends. And to this day, like some of like the friends I made in that stream that day or that first month, they're still my friends now, which is insane to me. It was a great experience. It was the first time I had ever really done something I wanted to do growing up. I mean, it was MrsViolence and the Haley baby. And I mean, through them, we just kind of grew off of each other, which is great. I mean, it didn't end the best way, but I mean, hey, you have women in the same house. It's probably not going to go the best. That was the thing for me, is I broke out on my own. I was always afraid to do something on my own because I've always played team sports growing up. I have 3 sisters, so it was always like a team effort. So I went out on my own maybe like towards the end of last year, so 2017. And all of a sudden, I don't really know what happened with my channel, but it just kind of exponentially grew. I think it was just what people wanted to see. They wanted to see me be me. And it took me that long to realize that I didn't need anybody. I mean, granted, I did. I mean, I obviously have my friends and all of that. But I think it was just my personality that people ended up really liking. And I don't know why, because I'm weird. But I think just being off on myself really, really helped my channel. I've been told by my community that they love both. Because on one hand, you get KatContii the gamer. You get the vulgar, excuse me for my language, I shit on you, go back to the lobby, Kat. And then I go to IRL and we get in-depth discussions, which I love because when I'm gaming in PUBG, I can't focus the chat 100%, which is something that does suck because as, you know, I was a small streamer, you know, in my career. And not being able to focus on my stream chat for like 10 to 15 minutes because we are constantly fighting does suck. So when I go into IRL, we have these just insane conversations about ridiculous things, from maybe cheese balls to juice boxes to like sports ball. So I think they love both. I think they love the conversation as well as the gameplay. I personally watch great PUBG players because they don't need to talk and I can watch their gameplay. But there are games where you don't necessarily need to fully focus into the game, like Hearthstone. I don't know if you've ever played Hearthstone, but they have like 2 minutes between each play. And then there's 2 minutes, I mean, for the other player. So there's way, way more time to talk to chat. I mean, there are different games, but I think with PUBG, the ability for people to just watch your gameplay is enough to not have to talk. No, for me, I'm a very open person. I don't hide my past at all. So for me, I love talking to chat. I love them to know my story because on Twitch, you are as good as your word. You are as good as your story as well. And I never want to hide from my community. And that's why I tell them so much. That's why I love IRL. That's why I love talking to them a lot about me and my experiences. Technically, for my ability to stream it, it's under PUBG. But for me, it's both PUBG and IRL because I get to sit there and not play the game. And then I get to sit there and hang out with my community. So it's a bit of both, and we get to talk a lot of PUBG. It's a new thing I'm jumping into. So lately I've decided I'm going to start doing things that I haven't done in the past. So example, this, doing the interview, but I think it's great. I want to do more of it in the future. But for me, as of now, I only mainly watch player-unknown battlegrounds as an esport. So hopefully we get more permission to do that as casters. A lot of them are online LANs, but they have them at least once or, I mean, maybe not even once, maybe like 2 to 4 times a month. So there is a lot for casters to possibly just sit there with the community and hang out and watch the games. But it's a matter of these companies just allowing us to do it. No, I think it would be great if we had the opportunity to do it because, as my family says, content is king or key, however way you want to say it. So there's always more opportunity to make more content out there. So I think they should allow us to do it. But who knows? It could happen. I think PUBG is on a slow incline again because I believe they just announced a 5-year plan where each region is going to have a league. So I'm hoping that each year we do have a PGI, just like League of Legends has Worlds, which would be absolutely insane. I know that people think that PUBG could have been dying, but I think now it's really on this steady incline, especially with the viewership that was just held for PGI. Yes, I think a majority of the talk came from Fortnite coming up out of nowhere and kind of stealing that Battle Royale spotlight from PUBG. But I mean, it's on an incline, in my opinion. I don't know the stats per se, but you can't really say a game that, when I was watching Panda TV, had 46 million concurrent viewers at one point, which I think is huge. I'm enjoying the stream day by day because in this industry, anything can happen overnight. I mean, one day you could be Ninja and play with Drake. and then things go crazy. But in terms of PUBG, I'm hoping that it stays around. In my opinion, I've played a lot of the BRs. I've played H1, I've played Fortnite, I've played PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds, and I love PUBG the best. And I think I'm hoping that it has the longevity of something like League of Legends. I mean, League of Legends is huge in the Asian community, and so is PUBG. So who knows where PUBG could be in the next 2 to 3 years. I don't like the idea of having to play, or I'm sorry, having to stop shooting to build. I think, and I know this might grow some hate, I think PUBG requires a bit more tacticalness and maybe a little bit more strategy, because in Fortnite, you don't necessarily need to know the terrain as well as you do, or the map as well as you do in PUBG. And I think there's something a bit more about the mental process of winning a PUBG game versus a Fortnite game that just pulls me in. I think it's just more tactical, and my brain has to work a bit more in PUBG. I mean, it's a third-person game, right? Can you really say it's an FPS game? I'm sorry, no. I think it's more of it's definitely more of a BR. I don't think it's an FPS in a sense of like Call of Duty, but I wouldn't say that it's like a Call of Duty type FPS, more just a BR game. I have. Yeah. There's maybe 10% of people, 10 to 20, who are okay with the caster doing both Fortnite and PUBG, but I think there's a defined line between the two games. It's not necessarily determined by my community. For me, I know PUBG gets me the bigger numbers. Same with IRL. But if I don't want to play it that day, I will gladly play Overwatch. I did it the other day. My viewership was actually okay on that too. But if I'm, fed up with playing PUBG because I stream it mainly, I will play what I want to play and what makes me happy. Because in terms of content and streaming, I think the streamer has to be happy with what they're doing, or else they're going to hate their job. I stream mainly, so I'm in the Pacific Standard Time Zone, or PDT at the moment, and I generally start at 8 or 8:30 p.m. and I go anywhere from 8 to 10 hours. So I do it. Okay, so reason why I do night times is because the heavy hitters, the big boys, the money makers are during the day. You have your Shroud, your Ninja, your Lupo, etc., all during the day, and they have a following. So having to pull your normal viewership at that time is quite difficult. So that's one of the reasons why I go at night. Also, I live in Vegas, so it's really hot during the day, whether or not we have AC. And third of all, I'm a night owl. I think I have way more energy at night. Plus, it works really well if there's a party I want to attend, and I have all the energy to do that. So for me, a lot of my money comes from Twitch, subs, bits, ad revenue. That's mainly about like 66% of my income, and then donations, because that's through a different website. But I don't necessarily jump at sponsorships fast. I learned that when I was young into streaming, that don't take every sponsorship that comes at you, especially if you don't like the product. So for me, I'm very particular on who I partner with in terms of making more money. But it's mainly Twitch is where I make a lot of my money. I think for now, growing your channel is pretty important. I know that there is some reach on YouTube, but YouTube is more congested than Twitch is. And on top of that, I know that they put their VODs there, but just putting your VODs alone, I don't think is enough to even profit on YouTube. I don't believe it is. And I don't think many of the big streamers put their VODs versus their like 720 no scopes on there, or their highlight videos. No, I mean, I would hire somebody for that. I was thinking about hiring somebody in for that, but the fact alone that most streamers, full-time streamers, stream anywhere from 32 to about like 48, 50 hours a week, and then having to spend more time working on editing for YouTube, I think it's a lot of work. I did not, because I might have taken a shot. When I had hit 1 million views, I was IRL streaming in Venice Beach. So I think I was drinking at the time, so I might have drinking a shot or the rest of my drink. I don't think there's much crossover between Twitch and Twitter in terms of viewer growth because I just think they're two different platforms. I mean, I'll tweet on Twitter. I think Twitter numbers are more so for companies in terms of these are my stats. This is what I could show. Like this is, I mean, I'm literally an advertisement on Twitter, or that's how I feel. I just don't think that they both intertwine at all. So for Twitter or Twitch, I'm sorry, it would be my viewer count as well as my sub count. I think are the two main things in terms of growth, because with how Twitch has changed in the last year, followers are really easy to get because I believe all someone has to do is hit follow a certain game. And if you stream that game, you get the follow. So it's not somebody organically coming into your stream and hitting that follow button anymore. Maybe the biggest thing that helped people exponentially grow was the buyout of Amazon. It was huge. The whole Twitch Prime thing was insane. My sub numbers nearly doubled, tripled because of that huge movement. And I think a lot of streamers have seen a huge increase in their sub count because of Twitch Prime. I let it take care of itself. I think if you're too much into numbers, you're going to get lost in it and you're going to lose yourself as well as your content. So when I first started streaming, I would get very discouraged by my numbers. So I would stick a Post-it note on that part of my screen so I wouldn't have to see it. Yeah, I think that's the problem with a lot of the newer streamers. They focus so much on numbers instead of their content. I think I was learning how I go. I literally got gifted this career into gaming. I was able to meet some of the OGs in this industry who helped me, I guess, learn how to grow my channel. So like MrsViolence, Seltzer, DJ Wheat, Hassan, all of those, Sir Scoots. I was able to meet all of these great people who just helped me. I guess they molded me into this person that I am now on the internet. Yes, I would 100%. I wouldn't be where I am today if I didn't meet these key people, the founders essentially of Twitch and this industry. It was all through MrsViolence. She was the person who started my whole career. She took me to my first event. She introduced me to some of the greatest people at Twitch, some of the greatest casters on Twitch. I mean, like these casters were on Justin TV, so they were the OGs. I was able to meet people like Ninja before, like when he was playing Halo. I was able to meet Man vs. Game, Ezekiel the Third. I mean, the amount of people that I met because of MrsViolence is insane, and I credit her with most of my success. I physically met them. I've been going to conventions for about 4-ish years now. So my first ever convention event was COD Champs back when Ghost was being played. I don't remember what year that was. And just through MrsViolence, I was able to meet some of the greatest Call of Duty players. So I was able to meet Nadeshot, Crimsix, Karma, and so on, just because I knew MrsViolence. I mean, she's been in this industry for a while, and the amount of people she knows is, I don't know, insane. So a lot of it for me in these events is seeing my friends. It's one thing to be a caster and be able to talk to them online, but to be in person and hug these people that you get to talk to on a daily basis or once a week is huge for me, because I do have a lot of my family lives in Vegas, and I get that, but I don't get my best girlfriends live in like Chicago or Canada or New York or somewhere far. So I don't get that whole sitting in a circle gossiping with a bottle of wine. But that's not all events are for, for me as well, because I guess for me, meeting people is huge as well. And I've had people, and it breaks my heart when they say this. It totally is. They're like, I saw you at an event and I was too shy to say hello. And what sucks for me is I've been there. I was that person who was way too shy to say hello to some of my biggest inspirations on Twitch. And now I go right up to them. So guys, please go up to your favorite content creators. Please do. And say hello. Just do it. For me, it's a small group because just like any industry, it's hard to pick and choose who you can trust. It is. So for me, I have, and this is within the past year that I've made this many girlfriends. I have a group of maybe like 7, 8 girls to where we all auto host each other. We all host each other. I do Girl Squad Fridays where we all kind of just 4 girls and we like advertise each other's streams out there and help each other grow. My advice would be it's not as easy as it looks, and Twitch isn't your only option. That's my biggest thing at the moment. I mean, there's Mixer now, and there's Facebook, there's YouTube Gaming, and then in Asia, there's Panda TV. Twitch is very congested, and it would be really hard to grow at this moment. So I think other options like Facebook and Mixer might be better at the moment. Yes, I would think so. So there are games, League of Legends, Hearthstone, Counter-Strike, super saturated. Maybe even PUBG at the moment. I couldn't tell you. I look at the directory sometimes, but I don't. I do think a lot of the bigger games are extremely saturated, and that's always been a thing with streaming. For some reason, there was always this idea to not stream these bigger games because you won't get noticed. I do somewhat agree on that, so maybe going towards the mid-tier games might be better to get noticed. Oh, yeah. Oh, my gosh. All the new BRs coming out. Battlefield BR, I'm like, really excited for Call of Duty BR. I think that one's going to be a good one. I had never really played COD with keyboard and mouse until recently, and it was mainly zombies. But there is a thing where keyboard and mouse is a lot better than controller. It's so much easier for me to aim. So I don't mind learning COD on keyboard and mouse. I think point and click is a lot easier to aim with than 2 sticks. For me, my favorite or my accomplishment would be being able to spend the time with my family that I can. I grew up very family oriented. I have a niece and nephew now, which I love to spoil. And the fact that I am able to support myself, I am able to make my own schedule essentially, and still make time for my family is huge. I mean, again, we're a very family-based family, and I hope that every family is like mine. But just being able to see my niece and nephew get into gaming, also great. I don't think there's anything. I mean, I don't think I can look back and say that was a big failure. Oh, well, I almost failed one time. I almost gave out my phone number on stream. Like, does that count? So I know this might sound super weird because a lot of people don't use these, but they're my wrist rests. I'm a wrist rest gamer. So if the one from my mouse falls off my desk mid-game, I have to get down and pick it up. I can't not use them. And I don't know how to game without them. I think I had sore wrists maybe a couple of years ago, and I didn't want carpal tunnel because I think that's our Achilles heel in gaming. So I got into wrist rest, and I could not do it without it. I don't even know how to use my mouse without my wrist rest.